National Weather Service has issued a lake wind advisory for Toledo Bend and surrounding areas. Wind gusts of up to 35 miles an hour may be experienced. These conditions are unsafe for small to medium-sized watercraft. Extreme caution should be taken.
The wind here at Toledo Bend this morning is blowing really hard, 35-mile-an-hour gusts. Now, bass officials are meeting with the 10 anglers to decide what are the options for the day. Are they going to fish today? Are they going to postpone it till tomorrow? Are they going to have a shortened fishing time? And they might even let the anglers trailer to their spots. We're going to have to wait and see. Bass officials will have their decision in just a moment.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's. This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150. Brought to you by Evertroll.
Alton Jones, have you ever seen wind this bad before a tournament?
Yeah, I have, and we're used to dealing with high wind and big waves, but Toledo Bend is really a little bit different than any other lake we fish in that it's got very narrow boat lanes cut through the timber, and it's not a lake that when the waves get big, you can navigate the waves. You know, usually we serpentine back and forth across them, take the best angles, and that minimizes the pounding that you take. But here you've got to go the direction that the boat lanes are cut. The problem is when you do that, a lot of times you're taking bad angles to the waves, and it's real easy to spear them, get water in the boat. And if you should swamp your boat and you're 3 or 4 miles offshore, the next thing that happens is you drift into the timber and you get up on those stumps in the big waves and you can capsize very easily. So this is going to be a very interesting day, to say the least.
So, has anybody got here got commitment Sunday? Guys are going to Rayburn. You don't start practicing until Monday. But I'm going to tell you, Steve, still waiting on me. I'm going to tell you right now, anywhere close to this Sunday, we're going to cancel that too. Now they're saying 10 miles an hour Sunday.
This has got to be hundreds. This is my opinion. Everybody needs to tell their own. I don't want to say that tomorrow it's not good tomorrow either. I mean,
but I can't. I'm not. No, I can't tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. If we're gonna cancel today, my vote says we declare being the winner, and we all owe it to Dave. Larry, don't tell that way. If you don't, Larry, you can tell him. I mean, that's right. That's just I just hate to cancel. Have a 2-day tournament on
Well, I do too. I think to have a 2-day tournament on anybody whether it's Toledo Bend or anything.
No, that's true. Even a 1 day. David, how you feel?
Well, I'm like Larry. I'd like to fish. I mean, obviously we're down and we can catch up a little bit, but whatever. If it's going to be like this tomorrow, but if it's going to be nice,
I mean, it could be 10 to 15. They can change it overnight. This truck out here could be 10 miles an hour. I think it's worth it to everybody's career to try to wait one day.
I agree with that.
That's good.
Well, Dewey, tell me about your decision today with the wind.
Well, you know, it wasn't only my decision. All 10 guys were unanimous. They don't want to go out in weather like this. I mean, Toledo Bend's a big lake, and safety is the #1 concern of all tournaments. And if the forecast is anywhere, and all lakes are different. Some lakes you might could go out with a 20, 25 mile an hour wind, but this is one lake you cannot go out with a 30 mile an hour gust.
Well, tell me about the process tomorrow. What's going to happen?
Well, what we're going to do tomorrow is the same thing. We're just extending today to tomorrow. We'll still launch at the correct time, and we'll still weigh in at 2:30 tomorrow. And if tomorrow is just as bad, I've already made the decision. Fishermen's agreed with it that we'll just the way the standings are now. That's the way the winners will be.
Well, David, you were one of the anglers that kind of in favor of going out here today. Tell me about that.
there was another guy that had a little protected water, but I think most of them wanted it canceled because, you know, it was going to hurt them. It was going to hurt their fishing. And like I say, you know, it's a pretty tight race, but you take away first place, it's pretty tight. And, you know, you go out and bust a 20-pound bag and they don't catch very much, and you can get way ahead. So that's what I was hoping for. And you know, it always works out for the best. So the wind is blowing, and believe me, we would be so sore tomorrow we wouldn't be able to walk. And if all of us made it back in without tearing everything up that we own. But you know, that's we have no control over Mother Nature, and you never know what happens. It seems like, you know, it's not like playing basketball or playing football where you're inside and you always got the same court and same playing field. We're always different, and that's what makes this a challenge.
The tournament is the same regardless of how many hours actually get fished. It's fair for everyone that we get to fish the same amount of time. But in the manner of safety, it's much more important to go to the next event than not get to go fishing.
Dewey made the right call. It's blowing about 30 to 35, and you know, the thing about this place is you have to run in the boat lanes. It's not like you can tack back and forth and ride the waves. Here you guys stay in the boat lane, and if you take a couple over the bow, you start flooding the boat, you know, then you got a life-threatening situation. I mean, and Dewey made the right call. Safety is number one with what we do out here, and we're just, I mean, sometimes we just can't go out, you know, and this is one of the times.
With the decision comes another day of waiting. When we come back, we'll tell you about another twist of events that happened here at Toledo Bend and fill you in on how we got our final 10.
Will Sunday bring less wind, or will Ben Mitsuba's 5-pound lead go in the books as a win?
The Bassmasters, brought to you by Long John Silver's. You can't resist the cravings. Evertroll, stay out longer, catch more fish. Pennzoil Marine, it's the right equipment for fishing. Berkeley Trilene, catch more fish. And by Bass Pro Shops, the world's leading supplier of premium fishing tackle.
All right, Terry, tell me about this morning. It looks like it's a nice day.
It's a beautiful day out there, nice and calm. I would like a little bit more wind, not as much as we had yesterday, but I would like some more wind to be able to fish out here. It's what I'm doing. I need a little wind, but the fish are still there. Just going to have to figure out how to make them bite. And yesterday they got a day off from fishing pressure, so hopefully it'll be a good day today.
You know, I got to take yesterday into consideration where I fished today, and the area that I fished during the tournament got pounded real bad yesterday. I mean, it was washing in there big time. So I'm going to start in somewhere else this morning and fish a couple hours and kind of let that area settle down just a little bit and go to it and see if they'll bite up in the day.
You know, the water temperature is 2 degrees warmer today, and I expect to find some bedfish later on this afternoon if things don't work out for me. But I'll fish hard, and whatever happens, you know, is fine. I'm happy to be in the crowd I'm with, and you know, these guys are tough, and you just can't back off, and I'll keep fishing as long as they keep biting.
Tim, what are you looking for today with this field? Ben's got a pretty good lead. Do you think anybody will catch him?
I don't know if anybody can catch him. Somebody had to have a real big bag, 25, 27 pounds, which is possible on this lake. But, and then, you know, you don't want to wish Ben any bad luck, but, you know, he would have to have 15 or so, something like that, for anybody to have a chance. If he catches a bag like he's been catching, then, you know, we're all just kind of fishing for second. But you know, you just go out there and do the best you can, and whatever happens, happens. So. 230. Where you going? That's the snap.
Hello and welcome to the Bassmasters Top 150 from here in Louisiana at Toledo Bend. I'm Reed Ryan. Along with me is Fish Fisherman, my co-host. And Fish, it's been a really strange tournament so far this week.
Reed, it has. You know, day one was canceled due to uncharacteristic fog here on the lake. This lake's 65 miles long, and the entire thing was fogged in. These guys didn't get a chance to go out, so it was postponed. They started from scratch on day two. But then there was another problem, high winds. And when I'm talking high winds, 15 to 20 miles an hour came in here. It really messed these guys up.
I've got one area that's getting blown in on pretty hard, and I could lose it because of the muddy water. If it doesn't lay down here sometime soon, then I could probably lose one area that was pretty decent to me today.
Well, the wind blew a little harder, and the front passed through, and it made conditions a little tougher. And
I'll tell you what, it's tough getting around. It really determines on making a move or not. You know, when it's like it is, it beats you to death. Matter of fact, I've got a headache right now. I'm getting too old for it.
Well, on day three, the weather decides to calm down, so we start seeing some bigger weights as well as some significant movement in the standings.
The stage was set for the final day. The top 10 were decided, but unforeseen weather conditions postponed it yet another day.
Well, Reed, we thought the wind was bad on the first day of competition. How about this? 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Dewey Kendrick, the tournament director, sits the guys down and says, let's have a vote on this thing. 2 of the guys say, let's go fishing. The other 8 say, we're not going out in this weather. We'll push it back a day.
Democracy rules, and I had a chance to catch up with the guys right after the vote, and here's their reaction.
Right, you look out there, nasty.
Are you glad that you guys are going to have an extra day?
Actually, if I can get there, I can fish, and probably my fish are gonna bite. So I wish I can go, but my observer maybe not wanna go.
You know, we've got gusts of over 25 miles an hour, and the thing about it on this lake, you have to run the boat lanes. There's so much standing timber, you really can't, you know, angle the boat the way you need to in rough water to run it. And yeah, it's real bad out there, so definitely the right decision.
After a fog day, 2 days of fishing, and then a high wind day, we finally got our top 10 anglers.
We made it. Now, what a great top 10 they are, Reed. Check this out. Alton Jones comes from down in the 70s to qualify in the 10th spot. 2000 Angler of the Year, Tim Horton from Spruce Pine, Alabama, finishes 9th coming into today. David Fritz, also North Carolina angler. Got to watch this guy, man. He's maintained a top 10 for 2 days. Then we go to the guy that all the pros said had the best shot. He grew up around here, Larry Nixon. Then we go to Stephen Browning. He's won before, and he's maintained his position in the top 10 for 2 days. Then Mark Menendez comes from nowhere. 21 pounds and 12 ounces, the largest string of this event. Then we go Takahiro Mori. We've talked about Taki. He's won with us before back in '96, I believe, in Missouri. You got to watch him. I heard he's catching some bedding fish. Then we talk about bedding fish. Dean Rojas, boy, did he catch him. He set the all-time b.a.s.s 5-fish limit down on Kissimmee last month. He caught 45 pounds and 2 ounces, a 9-pound average for largemouth bass. It's unheard of. I like Dean Rojas' chance. Terry Baxay, Connecticut angler. This kid's on fire. Then we go to Ben Mitsuba. Who is he? He's a newcomer. He's doing well down by the dam throwing a drop shot rig. It's a thing that came from Japan. He's modified it. He's catching fish on 6-pound line. Ben Mitsuba, good luck to that guy. He's going to win this thing. $110,000 for first, $431,000 plus paid out over these days of competition. Now, there's something else at stake. One of the most prestigious titles in bass fishing today is the b.a.s.s Angler of the Year.
After 4 events, the Angler of the Year race is starting to tighten up. In the first spot is Aaron Martins, followed up by Kevin Van Dam. Tied for third, it's Mark Davis and Takahiro Mori, and in the 5th spot is Clark Wendlandt. Now, Takahiro has to feel great knowing that he's the only one in the top 5 to be fishing on the final day of the Louisiana Top 150.
We'll read all these guys want to go to New Orleans this year for the Bassmasters Classic, the Super Bowl of fishing, and here's a look at the top 25 as they stand after 4 Top 150 events.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's.
Well, it's about 7:45 right now. Got one fish about 5 pounds in the live well. Came on spinnerbait this morning. We had a lot of wind yesterday, and it muddied up the whole area. And it shouldn't. I don't think it'll affect it. I think we'll be okay. Just throwing a hog collar spinnerbait right now in and around the brush. The water temperature is about 2 degrees warmer than it was when I was in here on the last day of the tournament competition. And I think that the fish are going to be a lot more active, especially this afternoon. I'm really anticipating a late bite. That 5-pounder was a bonus for me. I've been catching them all day long. Hadn't really caught anything first thing off the morning like that, so that's a sign of things to come. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'd like to catch Benny. I'm going to have to weigh about 20 to 25 pounds today, and that 5-pounder got me off to a good start. So,
water temperature is 3 degrees warmer than its usual. Small fish, man. I hope it's not a spot. That's not good for me. When the spots show up, oh man, it is a spot. Jeez. Man, those spots, I hate them, man. They're too aggressive. They chase out those largemouth every time.
Yesterday's wind really muddied up the water where Terry b.a.s.s was fishing, so he's going to have to look for new water today.
Terry is stuck in with his jerkbait pattern, but it looks like the new water may be bringing him smaller fish.
I'm afraid these fish, with the day off we had yesterday, may have decided to go on in and start looking for little romantic places to start their spawning activities. So we'll have to run a few pockets and just let them tell us what we need to do this morning. Toledo Bend Lake is located on the border of Texas and Louisiana. It's 65 miles long, 185,000 acres, and 1,200 miles of shoreline.
And it's split in half by the Highway 6 bridge, and running north to south, the two halves can have different conditions on any given day.
You got a lot of grass on the south end. You go up north, it's more shallow flats and wood and bushes. There's grass also, but deep and clear on the south end. Off-color north end, it's 70 miles long. There's a bridge right in the middle. That kind of divides the... In the springtime, north of the bridge is pretty much flipping. South of the bridge is pretty much rattle traps, spinnerbaits, offshore stuff. So it's kind of like two lakes in one.
Now, in the southern half of the lake, we're going to find Larry Nixon, Mark Menendez, David Fritz, Stephen Browning, Takahiro Amori, Terry b.a.s.s, and our current leader, Ben Mitsuba.
And on the north end of the lake fish, we have Tim Horton, Dean Rojas, and Alton Jones.
The area I'm fishing is kind of a pre-spawn area right now. On both sides of this canal, it's a huge cove that feeds out of the main lake. And back off to my left over here are some canals that lead back where the fish are going to bed. And it's a perfect pre-spawn spot for them to come up and stage out on this outside buckbrush that you see here out in the water. This spinnerbait, if I don't get one here in a few minutes, I'll probably have to switch over to start flipping. The water clear is a little more stained than it was yesterday, or when I was in here during competition days. And hopefully it won't affect them too bad. I don't think so. I may have to work a little bit slower and keep them in the strike zone a little bit longer. Give them a chance to find the bait once it drops down in the brush.
The Bassmasters Pro Tip, brought to you by Evertroll.
There's a few important items that you need to make you a better sight fisherman. One is simply a push pole. This is going to help you maneuver through the shallows more quietly and without stirring up the mud and silt on the bottom with your trolling motor. Another that most anglers overlook is an anchor. Simply use this to hold your boat in position once you locate a bass you want to fish for. A very important piece of equipment is a good quality pair of polarized sunglasses, like these Ocean Waves. Without these, you're not going to see the fish. Once you spot them, you can't catch them unless you're using the right lure. My favorite is a Riverside Vibra King tube. There is no other lure that outfishes a tube jig for bedding bass.
The big one. All right. I need something going with the wet spinnerbait. Number 4.
Here's Ben Mitsuba, still using the drop shot rig that got him here. Now, we just saw Dean Rojas having success in shallow water, and now we see Ben landing one from 20 feet deep.
So what depth should you be fishing? Well, the water continues to get warmer, and that means that the bass will continue to move towards the shallows. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit at all if Ben Mitsuba decides he needs to move a little bit shallower as well.
Already in a week, I was catching the streakworm, those cruising fish on the back of the pocket, like here. Then it seems like fish move up on the bed. Not every one of them, just some of them. Today I'm catching those fish, but the whole key is you gotta find light fish, because still water temperature is too cold for the beds. Those fish are so spooky, but if you find light ones, they're gonna bite.
Well, the fish have been about 20 to 25 feet. we're just working this old road bed. I'm kind of working bait up the road bed and down the road bed, and they're usually sitting right on top. But like I said, the water's 4 degrees, almost 3 to 4 degrees warmer, and that's really going to push these fish up to the shallows. I'm lucky what I did, you know, in the last couple of days in this tournament. You know, I prayed for cold weather to keep them down, and it happened. But with this warm weather, that shallow bite's going to really turn on with that warm weather.
More Bassmasters on the Deuce when we come back.
One thing that I like to do during the winter time is really pay attention to my electronics. I like to get out on the main river or even creeks where they meet the main river and do a lot of riding around and looking at my Lowrance electronics. I think if you'll take 2 baits, to take a jig and spoon and a jig and port combination and fish major tributaries where they enter the river and use your electronics to find the fish, find the bait fish, because that's where the fish are going to be. They're going to be around your bait. And remember one thing, you got to fish slow and you got to be real patient. And I think that's two ways that you can really improve your wintertime fishing. Good question. Appreciate you writing in.
Send your answer line question to Bassmaster Answer Line, 5845 Carmichael Road, Montgomery, Alabama, 36117. Please include a picture with name, address, and telephone number.
Yeah. All right. Whew, my limit.
Another spot. Man, that's what's ruining this freaking... Oops. This is what's ruining this spot. It's a spot.
There he is. That's a good fish. That's a good one. Come on, sweetheart. Come on, sweetheart. Just a keeper. Just a little keeper. There's number 1. All right. Get the show on the road here, boys.
This morning, the fish were just absolutely destroying your bait. At 8 o'clock, I had a limit of, you know, a 13-pound limit, and I got 14 and a half now, so I ain't near where I want to be at, but I got a pretty good start. I got a good idea of where I can catch some quality fish just a little bit later in the day, and if I can get them to bite, I'll have a good day.
The 2001 Bassmasters Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's. This is the Bassmaster Louisiana Top 150. Brought to you by Evertroll.
Yeah. Mule. Yes. Right. That's what I needed. I need that bad.
these little areas. I've been kind of doing a double header on them, come through with a little small red crankbait, particularly the little Rebel Deep We Are, new color in a crawfish, red crawfish. It's so good down here in Texas. I've been following that with one of my old favorites, Smithwick Road, which is the bait that I won Pickwick tournament on a couple of years ago. And I'm fishing it basically in the same style I did at Pickwick. You can see I've got this bait weighted. Got the hooks weighted on the front to give it a head down action. I've also got some weight on the front of the bait. It makes the bait suspend and stay in a neutral buoyancy. The shad are dying this time of year, and a doggone Smithwick Road mimics it better than any bait going. It's a great bait to catch big fish on, and that's what we're after out here today, is to go ahead and try to catch some better quality fish, try to move up.
This is a good one. Oh man, what is another spot? Phew. I don't even see him.
Tungsten weight, and it's a small weight in comparison to a lead weight, and this is a 3/16 head that I'm using, and it's the size of an 8. And the reason why I use this down in Florida also is when you're fishing, when you're on fish like this, the smaller head, because of the weight so small, I believe allows better penetration when you hook set. Instead of having a big bulky weight up there lead, you have something that's small and compact, and it's heavy. And I feel it's been a key, because the bait, when you're flipping a tube, it's more streamlined, and it tends to want to dive into the cover. The way I'm just rigging it Texas style. I'm just barely skin hooking it, so you can see when any little brush is going to get caught. That's what I want. So, back to work.
Beyond the Tournament Trail, presented by Long John Silver's.
January '74, I traveled to Florida. First time I'd ever been in Florida, I guess, and fished a tournament on St. Johns River and finished third in that very first tournament. So that gave me the confidence, and also it helped me financially by finishing third place, even though it wasn't a great amount of money. It was back then to us, and it just gave me the financial backing, and I think more than anything else, it gave me the confidence to continue on, and I was sure then that I could compete with those guys, because I was pretty much in awe of a lot of them at that time. I said, well, I can't beat them, but maybe I can, fish around them, and I might come in the money somewhere. But after I finished third in that first tournament, it just really fired me up, and I said, well, I can beat these guys. I can beat them. And it wasn't 2 tournaments later, I won Beaver Lake in Arkansas in April. I won Beaver. About 2 months later, it was and I said, well, then I was really fired up. And I went on that first year to win the Bassmasters Classic, so, I won 2 bass tournaments that first year I started. I guess what I do to relax is we try to do things with our kids as far as keeping them involved in sports and keeping them going the right direction and doing the things that we want them to do to grow into productive adults. And then hunting. I mean, we spend a lot of time, we spend 50 days a year deer hunting during deer season. And my kids, every time they're out of school or any slack time they have, they're down at the deer lease. We have 16,000 acres in South Texas leased and a big old house on it, so we spend a whole bunch of time down there together. My wife comes, and that's kind of our leisure time, is during November and December when deer season is going on. When I built this house in 1982, I wanted to build me a tackle shop and arrange things where I could put all of my tackle into an organized build shelves and put it into these Rubbermaid boxes and label it. I just wanted to have everything at my fingertips, and I've got a sink here where I can clean my equipment, work on my equipment. I've got a pegboard back here, and pegboard's the best way to do this, and I just hang these lures in different categories, and hang them up. And like if I know the fish, if I'm going to Lake Wheeler, like our next tournament's going to be a top 150 at Lake Wheeler in Alabama, the place where I won the Classic in '74, and I was there last year and finished 6th place in that tournament last year. Did real well over Wheeler. Wheeler Lake has been awful good to me, and I kind of know what I'm going to need to fish with over there, basically. So I can take my crankbait boxes, and I'll just walk over here, and I'll take some of the lures that I don't think are going to work too well at Wheeler, and I'll take them out of those boxes, hang them up over here in the right category, then I'll pick other lures up and put them in that box. I'm one of those type of people that I wouldn't be happy retired. I'm 60 years old, but I'm still in extremely good health. I can go as hard as a young guy can. I think mentally is where it really gets to you when, you know, maybe you just don't make as good a decisions as you once did. When you get a little bit older, you get hard-headed. You get kind of hard-headed and things like that. But I still just enjoy the sport so much, I don't want to quit. You know, I've got to have something to do.
Boy, she just doesn't want to come up, man. God, this makes me nervous. Holy smokes. This line, I tell you, using 6-pound line on these big fish is just, the longer you have them on, your odds of losing them are just so good. Oh my gosh, it's bigger than that. Oh. About a 7-pounder. Oh my God. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You know, these hooks are just incredible, incredible hooks. Oh, gee. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Whoa.
Oh, I needed that one.
Probably have any fish. And I went in the back end of a little old pocket and where the water was warmed up and caught 4 in there real quick. And then I went to my area and caught about close to a 5.5, 6-pounder, just bang. And I thought, boy, I'm fixing to wreck them. And that's the last keeper I caught all day.
Welcome, David and Fred.
David, we're finally here. This is the final day. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I think I'm ready for it.
We've had a lot of postponement here.
I've checked in the same motel 3 times.
Watch the weight for David Fritz. Get up there. 14 pounds and 9 ounces. 14.9. Dave, you did it. Show them to us. Not a big one, an exceptionally big one in the bunch, but this is what winning's all about. It's consistency. David, tell me about the technique you used, and tell me it was a crankbait.
Well, you know me, I'm going to be winding something. I caught fish on a lot of different baits. I caught my early pattern was just jerking a jerk bait and throwing a little zoom fluke and fishing shallow, which is something I normally don't do a lot, but you know, that's what it took to catch the fish, and I was really catching some real good quality fish out cranking the deep grass lines in a day. I don't know what happened. I think all the fishes swam through the bank because I could not get a bite out there, and that's what happened. I felt like yesterday, if we would have went yesterday, I could have won the tournament with all that wind, but you know, the water was slick, and it just makes conditions a little tougher, and when you got a little wind, it sort of stirs the shad up and they'll bite a crankbait better. But I caught quite a few fish on that, and I caught quite a few on a zoom lizard. I guess everybody knows watermelon seeds the color to throw, so that's sort of how my tournament went.
Dave, we'll see you at the next tournament on Lake Wheeler. Congratulations on a huge week. I hope the lead holds up for you.
Okay.
Well, the water temperature really came up big time today, and it was nice and dead calm. The problem was the conditions we had yesterday. I was fishing very main lake exposed bushes flipping and pitching, and that wind yesterday really trashed them. And late this afternoon, a few small fish started to move back into them, and I was able to catch my limit. But the big girls never showed up. And you know, we need a few more days like the weather we had today, and they'll be right back.
Please welcome Terry b.a.s.s. Terry, man, you had me so nervous out there. You only had 2 little bass when I saw you.
Well, this is the problem, fish, okay? We had a south wind. The creek I was fishing goes, now you're going to stay with me on this.
You got to let me weigh them. You need 11.9. Get up there. 11.13, new champion leader right now. 11.13, he's got the big one, too. I can already call it. That fish is over 4 pounds. Pee-wee, let's weigh him. $1,000 bass. Backstage blows them open. Man, you had me so nervous. I pull up and he goes, I've only got 2. And they're both barely 14 inches. I climb in the boat with him, and he goes and does this later. 4 pounds, 6 ounces, new big bass.
Thanks, fish.
When I think of Louisiana, the first thing that comes to my mind is the best bass fishing in the country because of the best cover and big fish and heavy line and heavy tackle and flipping and pitching, and you're out there with 8-pound line and a spinning rod. Why?
What happens is there's a weed edge, and the weed edge is 6 to 8 feet deep, and you can catch fish on a jerkbait, but what I was trying to do is I was trying to get down towards that weed edge, and I think that's why I was getting some of the bigger females that I had later in the week. Today I had one other bite that the fish did not get the jerkbait, and that was the only other bite. I had 6 bites and caught 5 fish, so it was a pretty good day. I'm very happy to be here. The crowd is awesome. Everybody on the water who was watching me was extremely, extremely courteous out there. And I'd just like to thank everyone. I hope we come back here.
Now, I know your wife is not with us. She's busy at home. I understand she's gained a little weight.
Just a little bit. She's due in August with our first child. We have a 9-year-old adopted son, Christopher, who you owe $5 to, by the way, which I've been told he'll never see. But yes, but she's at home, and she was hoping I'd do a little bit better than I did. Going into second place, you know, coming into today, I'm happy with how I caught what I caught.
The sun come out and the fish got real tight to cover, which was what I was wanting, and just couldn't get them out of the bushes, and didn't have that happen the first 2 days, so really can't complain about that, but had a blast. Got a lot of fish, caught a lot of fish, and just didn't get enough quality bites in the boat.
14 pounds and 11 ounces. Come on, Larry Nixon. 17 pounds, 2 ounces, 17 pounds. Larry, what in the world are you telling me? You didn't catch any fish in practice and you come out here and do this?
Well, sometimes you just have to sit down and have a talk with yourself.
And what did yourself say?
Well, you big dummy, you know this lake, just go fishing. I knew the area that I fished got trashed yesterday real bad. That south wind just killed it. So this morning I run back in a couple of pockets and that were dirty, and finally found one that had some watercolor in it I liked and had a little bait fish in it. And I didn't catch anything on the spinner bait, and I tried a rogue or a twitch bait and tried 2 or 3 different things. I finally said, heck with this, picked up a lizard and boom, caught one, boom, caught another one. You know, in 20 minutes I had 4 nice fish, and I run out of water in there, and I tried another pocket or 2, and then I run up the lake and hit my good area, and there was only one little bitty key area that wasn't muddy, and I fished around there with a lizard for about 30 minutes and didn't catch anything, and I picked my crankbait back up and caught that 5.9 or whatever it was, and that gave me 17 pounds, you know, at 9:30, and I thought, boy, I can win this tournament. You know, all I need is one more bite, a big bite. I hadn't had another bite the rest of the day. I tried everything I know. I Carolina rigged, I pitched a jig, you know, I slowed down and just fished key little spots that I really know well, trying to get one big bite, and I just couldn't do it.
There he is, folks, Larry Nixon. Thank you, Larry.
The Bassmasters, brought to you by Long John Silver's. You can't resist the cravings. Evertroll, stay out longer, catch more fish. Kumho Tires, Kumho is the way to go. Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. And by Motor Guide. With Motor Guide, you can take on the world.
He lit him up here. He caught a huge string on day 1 and day 2. He's in the #1 spot coming into today. He was in 3rd after the first day of competition. What's he going to need? He's going to have around 9 pounds and 4 ounces. Folks, welcome b.a.s.s. Give him a big round. Ben, you make me nervous, buddy. 9.4. Let's see what he's got. Watch the scales. 14 pounds! 14 pounds, Ben, you did it! Pick him up, give him a big round, look at him. He's got it! Ben Matsuba. Another 4-pounder, you did it. Ben, I pulled up on you. You just had some little guys. What did you do today?
Well, you know, I went to some spinnerbait spots. They weren't going, and I noticed water temperature being around 68 degrees. So I went to I seen Takahiro in a clear creek that I was going to check out for some bedfish, and I said, well, he's back there. So I ran all the way up to the bridge up here, and I went to another clear creek, and I only had about 45 minutes left, and there was quite a few beds, and I found the fish there on the beds, and yeah, you know, I was fortunate enough to catch 2 of them real quick before I ran out of time, but you know, there's some big bags coming up, so, you know, I'm just really happy with the outcome. I'm really pleased, and I look forward to fishing up there at Wheeler for the same.
Good luck to you. Hope it holds up.
Thank you.
Ben Matsuba, there he goes. He's got a limit of bass. I've just been confirmed. They're all alive. He's going to need a big weight. Folks, please welcome Takahiro Amore. He made it!
Yeah, I got 5 big ones.
He's got 5 big ones. He's going to need 20 pounds and 10 ounces. Go to the scales. Come on, Takahiro. Watch it. 21 pounds! 2 ounces! 21, 2!
Wow!
Pick him up! Takahiro does it! Man! Takahiro Amore, people, puts together a 5-fish limit, takes the lead. All right, let's hear it. You've had an unbelievable week on Toledo Bend.
Wow, this is an awesome fishery. I love it.
Tell me how you caught them, Tock. You've been out there the last 3 days just ripping them.
Well, I show you the bait.
He's got the lures with him.
Good. This is the first 2 days of tournament. I was just 7-inch, just trick worm, and this is the bait, just teal fry. And today, all of a sudden, all the big fish move up on the bed. That's just regular white tubes and caught all of them.
All right, there he is. Takahiro's got the lead. Make him feel warm and fuzzy. Dean Rojas. Dean Rojas, folks. He won our last event. He's our defending champion now. You want to guess how much weight you need? It's a big one.
I need about 20 pounds, and I hope I get
more. 20 pounds and 1 ounce is what he needs. What's the weight? Yeah! 1 ounce! 2 ounces, 21, 2. Dean Rojas! There's your champion! We're going to hold them all up. We did it at Lake Tahoe. We're doing it again on Toledo Bend. Dean Rojas, back-to-back b.a.s.s victories
This morning I pull up on my first spot, and as you know, yesterday got canceled. We had 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I was just praying and hoping that the area I was fishing wasn't going to get beat to death from all the wave action. But when we got there, I caught a 5-pounder in the first 5 minutes, boy, and I go, boy, what a way to start a tournament, And so I just kept throwing a spinnerbait, and that wasn't happening, so I picked up a Lake Fork tackle tube and started flipping around the bushes, because that's what I've been doing all week. And I just was flipping along in the buckbrush, and just catching them and just trying, hoping for a big bag. I really felt Benny was going to win this because of what he was doing and where he was doing it. I just figure I can catch another 15, 16 pounds in there and finish in the top 3, and hopefully have a new finish. But I could have never thought in my wildest dreams that I would win back-to-back top 150 events against the best fisherman in the nation.
Last month, Dean Rojas down in Florida catches 5 bass. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. 5 bass that weigh 45 pounds and 2 ounces. That's a 9-pound average, and guess what? He released all of them alive, but the folks from Lake Fork Taxidermy have a special presentation for Dean Rojas, Jason Pierce, and Clayton Pierce. These are the 5 fish in replica form of your champion, Dean Rojas. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up from Louisiana. I've got the top 10 standings in the number 10 spot. Stephen Browning. 9th was Tim Horton. 8th was Alton Jones. 7th, Mark Menendez from Paducah, Kentucky. David Fritz finishes 6th. In the 5th spot is Terry Baxay from Connecticut. Larry Nixon, the hometown hero, finishes 4th. Ben Matsuba, newcomer to the trail, 2nd year, finishes in the 3rd spot. Takahiro Amori finishes 2nd. And your champion, Dean Rojas, 2-time Bassmasters champion. We'll see you at the next stop on the top 150 circuit at Lake Wheeler.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.